call to order the Town Council for joint public planning commission and Town Council hearing on the comprehensive plan.
Natalie present. Sullivan here.
Brandon present.
Brandon present. Buckles present.
We have a quorum.
Now call to order the public. The Planning Commission public hearing and regular session agenda for December 6, 2016. Roll call, please.
Sullivan here.
Burke here. McCoy here.
Strube here.
Graham here.
Buckles here. Let the record show that Commissioner Kostek, thank you, is now with us. Sir?
First order of business and the only order of business are public hearing comments, followed by amendments to the Town of Cape Charles comprehensive plan that was adopted on June 11, 2009. So we let us open the floor for public comment.
I live with my husband, Bruce, and our son, Joe. Joe's 23. I'm here tonight to just give you my comment on accessory dwelling units. We would like to build a garage in the rear of our home. We live on a double lot, so space is not a problem. The building will match the prevailing style and character of our home. We are hoping to have a small efficiency apartment on the top of the garage where our son Joe can live. The apartment would be very modest with a shower and toilet in the bathroom and a microwave and a small refrigerator. Our son, whom we adopted from Russia 20 years ago, is intellectually disabled. His birth mother abused alcohol, resulting in his disability. Maybe you know Joe. He's worked at Kelly's Pub for 1 year, and now he works at both the Christian School and Vance's Furnishings. He's active in our community. He's a great guy, and we're hoping to provide him a bit more independence by allowing him to live on our property, yet have his own space. I am hoping the issue of accessory dwelling units would be approved on a case-by-case basis, and that there would be a possibility for us to move forward with our plan to give our son a small space above our proposed garage. Thank you for letting me speak at your meeting. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get it? Yeah.
Are there any other public comments?
No one else signed up for the public hearing.
All right. Are there no other public comments? Time for public comment is closed.
Okay. We all stand for. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to close the public hearing?
Council needs to adjourn.
We need to adjourn.
Yeah. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned. Thank you very
Were we
much.
supposed to amend something?
According to the agenda.
Remember? All right, sorry. Different meeting. See you later in the month.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
This morning, most of the
so that, you know, but I appreciate it.
I guess that's
Oh, there you go. I'm complaining about the water. It's raining water now.
The door, Chris, the door.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We've had a request from one of the participants to shuffle the agenda. Since we had no more public comment, right?
No one else has signed up for the rest of the public comment.
All right. Kellogg Building, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, okay. Do any of you have any issue with moving new business in front of old business?
No.
No? All right, let's do it then. May I have a motion to move? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. New business. Sir? We got an application for conditional use permit to have second floor residential Kellogg Building. Sorry?
You have to do the minutes.
You have to do the consent agenda.
Well, you've
Oh,
done that with
yeah.
the approval of the agenda format. You now
But
have
there's
to
minutes
do
and
the
reports.
minutes.
Right. Reports?
I have nothing to add to the staff report unless there's any questions.
All right, do we have any corrections to the minutes? Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Now we move on to new business, correct? You want to walk us through the?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we've received an application for conditional use for residential above commercial at the Kellogg Building. And I am verifying that street address. The applicant has 3 Fig Street. I've also seen 1 Fig Street. So I will get that straight
Okay.
before we move forward to a public hearing notice. And in either regard, the tax map number will be there, so you can always find the address that way. It's the Kellogg Building, everybody in town knows what it is.
Right.
It's a relatively straightforward application at this point. Downstairs is proposed to be commercial, which is by right in the commercial 2 district.
Right.
And just by way of one correction, it's not similar language for conditional use residential with the C1, it's identical language.
Right.
So, the same provisions for a conditional use in the C1 district, residential with commercial applies to the commercial 2 district. The application is in order for the purpose of moving forward to set a public hearing date, at least that stands.
Larry, what's the basic difference between C1 and C2?
Larger lots. It's the exact same uses, and the C2 incorporates all the C1 uses, and the conditional uses are the same as well. So the only difference is, believe it or not, the C2 district, minimum lot is 6,000 square feet, which is larger than C1. Yeah, and it's larger than the town lot. The town lot's 5,600.
Do I have a motion to accept the conditional use as written, along with any adjustments necessary as outlined by the planner?
You want a motion?
Yes.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. You're out of here.
Thank you so much.
No problem. All business.
The agenda item is a set of public hearing.
Yeah.
We swap.
No, I mean, for this, it's a set of public hearing on Kellogg.
Good.
Kellogg building.
January.
Yeah,
This needs a public hearing.
yes, it does. So is that what this motion
Yeah.
was supposed to be for?
Yeah,
You just said-
maybe clarify.
It doesn't say in the line item, it just says application for, and
What's more of the
you
public
didn't mention
hearing
for public hearing, did you?
For January.
It's in the,
Okay,
to the January.
okay. That's fine.
We'll make it happen.
Thank you, thank you. But that kind of stuff should be in here, so we don't miss it.
It was, it's under the recommendation at the bottom of the stack.
No, I mean in the agenda.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
It's up to you all to discuss it.
The joint session threw me off, I guess.
January 3rd.
Okay. All right, back to old business. Amendments to the Town of Cape Charles Comprehensive Plan adopted June 11, 2009. I thought we went over this and over this and over this and over this. What amendments are we talking about?
Town council is interested in amending the town council priority section to remove the text that's there and to insert the text from their self-generated priority list from the town council priority goal setting session that they will have on Saturday the 10th.
We talked about this last.
Okay, yeah. So all we need to do is make a vote on it and move on? Is that what you're saying?
They'll need to provide the text, but
Then we'll, okay, all right, all
for the
right.
planning commission, you are correct.
Okay.
That's what you need, that is what you need to do. To remove the language that's there, which is that succession of bullet points,
Right,
to amend that language to be struck
right.
and to be replaced with the priorities set by the town council at their December 10th strategy session.
This Saturday.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Wait, we're not finished with comprehensive plan, right?
We have B.
Oh, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
This is, I think this is the thing Andy was talking about, right?
No, what we just did.
That's fine. This is the document review where we're going to go through and identify which need to stay and which need to be updated, right?
Correct. That was again a recommendation from town council.
Yeah.
Some concern about the age of some of the documents used for the preparation of the comprehensive plan.
Right.
So the oldest one on that list is the 1996 preservation plan. The staff report gets into some of the values still of the preservation plan, but also the preservation plan predates the historic district ordinance, overlay ordinance, and it also predates the historic district design guidelines. So some of those, I mean, it's a very good narrative of life up to 1996. It isn't particularly forward-looking from there.
I believe I would have asked you to give us a recommendation about what changes should be made so we have a discussion document that we can start with rather than starting from scratch.
My recommendation is this whole document should be archived.
Should be what?
Archived.
Okay,
And if we're gonna do a preservation plan, pretty much start from scratch for a preservation plan. Because this preservation plan still talks about a whole range of issues that are no longer practical issues.
and that's fair, that's absolutely fair. Okay.
There's some narrative value in it.
Can you come up with a high-level series of objectives that you want to see in the new preservation plan?
I mean, I'm happy to, hear any other interpretations. I think this document did a good job with summaries and recommendations.
Okay,
What we haven't done in 20 years is gone over the recommendations as a checklist to see specifically what it is we have done.
okay,
The things that have been done obviously don't need to be addressed again.
right,
The things we haven't done should be assessed as to whether they are still 20 years later priorities.
yep,
That's where I would start with the preservation plan.
okay,
And perhaps get away from some of the narrative, because we know that the town was in the housing stock was decidedly troubled and distressed.
yeah, I mean, it was a different era.
Yes.
Exactly, right, okay, all right. How can we help you, sir?
If that is to the commission's pleasure, as an approach, I'll begin to gather that information,
Okay,
get the recommendations and summaries and recommendations, and just check them against what it is that's actually happened,
okay.
and bring that back. And I can't say I'm gonna bring that back in January.
No, yeah, this is a significant body of work, I understand.
So if you give me 90 days,
Okay,
I would like 90 days. Give me 60, over 60, but. it won't be done in January.
nobody else is here hammering us, we're not gonna hammer you.
In fairness, it's a legitimate point that was brought up about the age of the.
Yeah, I totally agree, yes, exactly, because it's a little long in that particular section is a little long in the tooth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do we need to do anything else on this, Kevin?
Unless you need to sing, you can do anything else.
No.
When does the clock start ticking for another review of our comprehensive?
As soon as it's adopted.
Right.
And we have like
5 years.
5 years. Because we almost time to start.
Well, it will be as soon as we get our back together and get everything on nice and neatly packaged and town council passes on it.
We might think about starting when this one is 3 years old, 2 years before
Yeah.
it expires or something.
Yeah,
But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, I think that certainly the value of the historic district preservation is an operating principle now. And so, I mean, I don't know if that needs any further reinforcement over what's in the comprehensive plan and all like that. So, that would be my only reason for keeping anything about it, was just make sure that there's no doubt about the importance of that, the historic aspects. And just, we heard on the Saturday night after that filming and all, the guys that came in and was talking about how important that is and how rare that is and how special that is. But I think we all believe that and are operating on that way anyways. So, I don't know that we need any bolstering necessarily from a whole preservation plan. But
The historic district overlay ordinance hasn't been looked at. I mean, if it's the commission's interest or pleasure, I can certainly bring that along as well in 3 months, just to review it to see if that would require any text amendment or any updating, or if that's sufficient. Because it hasn't been updated in a while.
Yeah, last time I think they updated the historic overview is when they were starting going through with the commercial properties, it was battered about town. And that was before I got on. That was well over 4 years ago.
I had one question, and
Go ahead.
that was the code that you included. The end of that talked about certain items that had to be in the comprehensive plan,
Well, maybe.
specifically some of the maps and stuff. Are we covered?
We're covered.
Okay.
We will need to adopt a new zoning map to recognize, especially subdivisions, because the parcels are no longer accurate. The districts are on the map that was included in the comp plan, but some of the parcels are no longer accurate. We've had
Yeah,
some
right.
lot line vacations,
Right.
but the districts are accurate.
is there any interest in extending the historic district any further than what the overlay is?
That'll be next year. With the part of the grant from Department of Historic Resources was to update the survey, and then that grant will expire in April. Then next fiscal year, there'll be another grant. town board has been informed that they'll be favorable towards the phase 2 of that grant, which would be then look at extending the historic district. Again, what strikes everyone is that the Rosenwald School was not included in the 1989 survey.
Yeah, it needs to be,
Okay. It's not contiguous to the district, but it's an historic building.
right.
So the only thing that town council now is concerned about is their priorities, right?
For the comp plan.
For the comp plan.
Which should also be a working document.
Right. Well, I understand.
Yeah.
that.
Well, and the,
Reservation.
yeah, the list of other
Right.
documents.
Right, but as long as they know that we're working on those,
They know.
I'm sure they pester him periodically.
It's been reported to council. And from that, my expectation is they know.
And there'll be relation with those in the capital improvement project, I presume.
I hope to get the capital plan to you for the January meeting. That's why I said that,
But we
the
should
state
see that.
report for January, for this month is already warning.
It should be a reflection of those priorities that are yet to come.
should mirror.
Should mirror this, yeah. Okay.
Do you think? Do we need to, okay. Do we need to take any motion or action on this?
No,
Okay.
not really.
Okay.
Again, if the 1996 document can be, for lack of a better word, archived for now,
Yes.
and then with the idea that staff brings back
Yep.
recommendations for a future update of that document,
That's absolutely
That
no
will-
issue.
that
Unless somebody else, I think that makes all the sense in the world.
that'll close.
What I would like to
close the
do
take on it.
is help educate our one comment to understand the process. Because she's still here, she doesn't understand how we work. Can you help out?
Do you want to close off the life on the
Yes.
1996 plan?
Yes, that was where I was headed.
We need to make a motion.
We did make a motion. To
To-
the effect that.
Oh, okay, can I have a motion for him to proceed according to what he stated he's gonna do?
Which is archive the plan and he has 90 days to present us with,
A new one.
not a new one, but with salient points.
That is the recommendation.
Yes, right. Oh, correct, yes,
I make
yes.
that motion.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any in favor? I'm sorry, any opposed? None. So, great. Okay.
I'm not sure what you said.
That's serious, you're too long. Okay, now. Can you help Skinninger understand what the process is?
Yes. The comprehensive plan as written includes a recommendation that accessory dwelling units are advisable for the town of Cape Charles. The zoning ordinance specifically prohibits dwelling units in accessory buildings. So there's a disconnect. Typically, the zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan are in alignment. This is one of those points where they aren't. The 2009 comprehensive plan talked about accessory dwelling units. That was as a result of the 2006 study, I believe, that was around town, that assessed accessory dwelling units, the possibility of accessory dwelling units in Cape Charles, and was favorable towards them. So that went in the 2009 plan, which is the current plan until the council adopts the new one, ideally on the 15th of this month. So the language in accessory dwelling units hasn't changed as far as the town's long-range planning for a period of at least 7 years, arguably longer, 10 years. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was 2010 or 2011 when the council voted against accessory dwelling units. The town council at that time voted against them. And there's been no movement forward to amend or to reconcile. When the planning commission began this extensive 3-year plus long process of amending the comprehensive plan, the issue never came up as something that I don't want to speak for it, but that this commission was opposed to. about a year and a half ago, it was early in my tenure here, or middle of, maybe the summer of 2015, there was, the commission re-looked at the conditions that had originally been proposed in 2006 for accessory dwelling units, and made some revisions. It wouldn't be by right, it would be by conditional use, so there still has to be an application. There's a public hearing, planning commission would recommend to the town council, and the town council on a case-by-case basis would decide if that property is appropriate for a conditional use. It's the same way we treat bed and breakfast. It's the same conditional use. There was room limitation as far as square footage. There was a requirement to have separate water and sewer connection, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And
And as you realize, it can get very pricey, the water connection in particular.
it wouldn't be a tap off of the house, it would be a separate meter. And a number of other provisions as far as,
Building
Off the
code, things
parking.
like that. Building code.
yeah, the building code, it has to have a separate entrance, so if it's above a garage, you can't enter through the garage bays and then go upstairs, it has to have a separate entrance. All the building code as far as safety is concerned, stairs, railings, etc. So that's where that stands. If I'm not mistaken, in November of last year, there was a joint work session between the council and the planning commission where accessory dwelling units was one of the items, along with the tourism zone, if I'm not mistaken. And it proceeded no further than that at the time. So here we are with a comprehensive plan, at least through this process with the planning commission and the language for the accessory dwelling unit still in there as a preferred option for affordable housing. And there's still a prohibition from the zoning ordinance. So that would be an amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow accessory dwelling units in accessory buildings. That text amendment would require, again, a public hearing, 2 public hearings, or ideally a joint public hearing with the town council, recommendation from the planning commission, and then action on the town council to amend the zoning ordinance. Because it isn't the comprehensive plan anymore, it's the zoning ordinance with a prohibition. The ordinance is law, the plan is a plan, it informs the law, but the zoning ordinance is what stands. So that's why we have no accessory dwelling units in the town of Cape Charles.
The other, you mentioned it before, just be very careful as you proceed down this. You mentioned the word affordable and mentioned separate meter. There's a disconnect right there. So be very careful when you look at the numbers. Is this something you really want to do? I know your heart's in this, but do you have the finances to make this happen with it? And that's not my business. I'm just saying, pay attention to what he's saying. That's all I'm saying.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't we wrestle with the definition of affordable housing?
Yeah.
And kind of came to no real conclusion of it.
Yeah.
Which I think may have been how the 2009 plan wound up as well.
Yeah.
So affordable is perhaps in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. It doesn't mean it can't be changed, but some of these things are there for a reason. We're a growing community. We try to do the best we can with what we've got. We're trying to make sure that one of the things that this body, as open as it is and accessible to the public as it is, has to be able to defend each and every decision it submits to council. We are legally required to follow a very specific process. So we can't just willy-nilly go wandering off and doing something odd. We're in a Dillon state, so we're only allowed to do those things which the state gives us the right to do. So just go in with both eyes wide open is what I'm saying. Okay. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a better understanding of what's going on now.
Yes,
Okay.
I talk to Larry about this all every day.
But,
And the 2006 report is a good report. And I know we haven't looked at it all in a while, but it's a solid report that takes into consideration the rights of property owners and
Right.
potential impacts, especially on traffic.
yeah, and we do what we think makes sense from a safety perspective, from an environment, and we're not trying to be environmental hippies, we're just trying to keep everything safe for everybody to live here.
Yeah, I think parking was an issue too, as I recall.
Right.
We got stopped.
It would have to comply with the off-street parking requirements.
And you got
not
offsets,
within the
depending on
state.
the size of the lot that you're gonna deal with, yep,
Well,
right.
as you know, my son will never drive because he's disabled. So
Yeah.
it's my requirement. I understand that you
Yeah.
can't make these things for
Well,
me, you know, I'm
okay.
just one person.
That's where conditional use can become your friend, because, but it depends on what you're willing to proffer in working out, what you want versus what the town wants. Take
If
a
I'm
look.
not
Go
mistaken,
ahead.
I think a conditional use goes with the property also. So if you, am I correct?
Yeah, it does, yes.
So if you were to move, the next person there.
Sure,
would
I
have-
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So maybe they would have parking
Certainly,
needs or
I
something.
understand.
Right. But corporations can sometimes take advantage of a conditional use because they can proffer some benefits to the government organization in return for some conditional use that they want to see happen. Individuals, not so much, because they don't have such deep pockets. But just keep that in mind. Hope you found this helpful. Hope you found this helpful.
Yes, okay.
Okay, good. Good.
And Larry's door is open and,
Yep.
to tell you more about
Very good one to see you anymore. I'm joking, he's a great asset to the city,
Yep.
town.
Do we have any announcements?
Yes,
Oh,
if you're so inclined, on the Historic District Review Board meeting next Tuesday night in this very building. The meeting starts at 5 to consider the applications, but at 6, Marcus Pollard, the consultant from the state, well, it's a private consultant, but with the state grant, will be in this room to talk about the update to the Historic District Survey, and answer any questions about anyone, well, they're all bakery. No, you're not all bakery. You're not all bakery. But those of you who are living in a historic district, if your home is a historic home and you've got some interest or questions about your own particular property, bring your documentation and talk to Marcus. They're trying to get as accurate an assessment of the homes in the historic district, the buildings in the historic district, as commercial as well, as possible. So I think that's going to be fun and informative. It's terrific. And again,
For those living in the historic district, that probably makes a lot of sense.
and our survey was from 1989.
Yes.
So a few things have changed in the old town
Yep.
between 1989 and December 13th.
Well, there's things that are still changing.
Yes.
Colors of facades are changing. Yeah.
Things are being demolished,
Yep.
which is good.
So is this a public event that follows the historic meeting
It-
for everybody to come?
It is the last item on the agenda. So people, of course, welcome to be here at 5. They'll hear the regular applications move forward. One of those is 401 Mason Avenue, commercial improvement to the old gas station. Was proposed, Peach Street Books, which is going to be quite a something when it's done. And then there's a long vacant and almost dilapidated house on Peach Street, on Plum Street, which is, if you know the house where all the feral cats are in town.
Oh.
That house is scheduled to be improved. It's been purchased by
The duplex right here?
no, it's 535. Yeah, 535, across the street from me.
Must be visited by Sandy Mayer.
Oh.
Frequently, nightly.
Yes,
No,
I'm sure.
this one like my house on Beach Street. right there, it's only has the corner, right, but then Sweetwater Park.
Right next to it, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. So those are the two applications we've got. Once that business is dispatched with, then they'll move to Mr. Pollard's presentation. So that's by way of an announcement.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Just a second.
I second it.
Okay, those two are second.
Adjourned.